actually we don't need them. But they are more subtle than most of the other religions. That's true. Subtle in explaining the old way of understanding it. But most of the religion, as such, when you take it, it is very shallow. But the philosophies, the people have spent too many years, almost 2,000 to 3,000 years sitting there, thinking about it and debating on it. So it has grown into such a body of knowledge, which has got because without real understanding of the world, they have to explain everything. And it's not an easy thing. And even with all our new scientific knowledge, we can't explain everything. So we have to know that there is always a limit to knowledge. Whether it is science or philosophy, there will be a limit to knowledge. And there will be always a place where we know that we have to still learn, we have to still conceive things, and still we need assumptions. Like the beginning, Big Bang, what is before the beginning? Like that questions we had to, it's not an easy thing. We need only assumptions. And also whether the expansion of the universe, how long it will take, and you can only assume things. So there will be always the limit to knowledge, which all these people can always fall in back and say that, oh, you don't know that area, then how can you be so sure about this? So that is the problem. Every inquirer will always find it. That there will be some places where you have to say that, okay, I don't know. So this is the area they will be using. So not the Indian philosophy, but I am saying that Greek philosophy and also the Christian theology of the 16th centuries. And all these places, they have gone very deeply into many of these areas where with concepts were used to explain away every problem. So philosophically, they will be walking through tightrope walking, race edge walking. All these philosophers have done. So they are very good at gymnastics of thinking. So don't think that, they are not subtle and clever. We should know that. All they have to, I will ask them, say right now we are sitting together and talking. None of the philosophy has made this form. So this is the simplest thing we will say that. So whether Shankara is right, whether the Upanishads is right, whether Greek philosophers are right, or whether the Christian theologians, but none of them has contributed to this form. So they have not transformed the world. They only explained it. And there are so subtle ways of explaining. I know most of these philosophies. So I know how to explain it also. So I know what the difference is, how we made our world conducive to our life and better for our life is the only criteria which science can have. So there is, when life comes in, when life originates, there is two things it does. One is it adapts to the surroundings, and the another is transform the surroundings. So this adaptation without transforming is the area where the philosophies are all. Once you understand it that way, it's simple. So if there is a king, how to adapt to that fellow. If there is a disaster, how to adapt to it. So this is the philosophical way of understanding life. They only adapt to and wait for it, something to happen. So science is something that transforms around and made life more conducive. So once we understand that there is this distinction of adaptation and transformation, science is the one that got away somewhere around 400 years back, which challenged the old assumptions of how the world is. Till then, philosophers were the one who was explaining how the world came into and all these things. But once they started traveling around the world, and then they found that the earth is round, which completely confused the old religion and philosophy. They are intelligent human beings, but they are bereft of information. Buddha is an idiot without any information. So they have to, he has no knowledge about genetics. So he has to explain it with life after life. That's the only way. And Jesus Christ sitting there and doing tapas for 40 days. What they had, he has to explain why somebody is born without an eye. Because then they had to say that it is the sin of Adam that is caused it. There is only two explanations. Either you are a sinner or life after life. But once you understand that there is genetics, then you don't need both this philosophical understanding. So it's the absence of information that made philosophies. Absence of understanding of life and information is what we call spirituality. So human being transformed the world, but they couldn't still explain why the earth was rotating or why whether we are the center, because we still believe that we are the center of the universe then. But once the shift came to the heliocentric concept, immediately the importance of human life became completely gone. And then we became one among the lot, which was the total transformation for the tribes. Tribes always believe that their tribe is a special one. We lost a special position in the universe. Before that, it was adapting area. People, what we call philosophers and religious people, they were the one who was explaining the meaning of life and why life is, and all these kind of questions. Now, science started explaining, no. We have got our own explanation on this. So now, we are more on to the side of the transforming. That's why we are more of scientists. That's why we are taught science in the school. Before, in the school, it was the religion that is being taught. 19th century, when Darwin came and started talking about evolution, all those fellows were there talking about progress. So they suddenly found the word evolve. Actually, even Darwin was not using evolution. He was saying descent and how speciation happened. He never talked about evolution, but people always knew that we are special. So if not God, some other principle made us special. So that speciality was never lost. We still believe that. Before that, that's why they were always drawing the picture of from the monkey to human. Right now, we know that it's not so. So everybody was thinking about progress in that time. Especially the fellow Huxley, with Darwin's friend. He is the one who has coined the word evolution. So we evolved to the top. Instead of God making us special, we evolved to the top. That's why the eugenics and everything came. So all these things we have to understand. So we now know that life diverged and became specialized in thousands and millions of ways. And we are only part of life in one segment, one branch. We are the tip. And every living being here in this world is modern. Then not they are primitive and we are modern. That's how still people believe. I am talking about every living being is the most modern bacteria, most modern virus, most modern animals and insects. Once you understand it that way, then our speciality is lost. The system of education came when industrialization came. Before that, it was to make the tribe member into a subject. So that is what education means. It's all religious teaching was there in the schools, because all the schools were made by the religious people to make people into domesticated, controlled persons who were called the subjects of the king. But right now, we are not subjects. We are citizens. Citizens means the subject needs only loyalty and obedience. These are the only two values are there for the subjects. But when it comes to the citizen has got rights, responsibilities, and duties. So, and they have the right to choose. So that is the difference between a subject and a citizen. So we need education for the citizen, but till now, the education is given. I'm saying it's in education in quotation is given to make somebody a subject to be useful to the society. And the society means it's an exploitative, hierarchical society. Right now, we are subjects who are equal, and we are different, but equal in opportunity and equal in status. So we need an education where we will feel to choose, the ability to choose our life, and also we are expected to cooperate with others, not in hierarchical systems. So after 20 years of learning in a university, now you join a jobless collection community, waiting for somebody to give you a job. Actually, education should help you to know how to live. That is now missing. We are still taught only how to be in somebody's usefulness. So that's why you need a certificate. You need examinations because somebody is choosing you. So you are constantly making yourself useful so that somebody can use you. So your knowledge is not used right now to live, how to make your life better and change your surroundings. That is not happening. So we have not yet started education in our country. We are still, the British people started the schools and colleges to use the Indians to rule India. Because even all the British fellows will coming here won't be enough to become the administrative system. So they have started an institution. All the examinations higher examinations were all done in England. IPS, IAS, IFS, everything if you look, they were all we only just shifted it to here in India. But the system is still of how to make you useful. Not that you, with it, all your knowledge, you don't know what to do with your life. 22 years or 25 years of learning, and you have to wait for somebody to bestow a job on you. And you get only 10% will get jobs, and the 90% don't know what to do with their knowledge. That's no education. We are not teaching them to become citizens. We are still teaching them to become subjects. Not even daughters, even the sons, everything to children. That's how we should really understand. I am saying that we are still not giving education. That's a problem. And the way internet is now right now, it's a plank on which we can really live. So we don't have to wait so long now. And also, the corona has really given us an impetus, and to know that all these institutions, from religious to schools, everything was closed. So we now know that it's not that important. Now we know, and the other systems of gathering knowledge is so fast now that the tempo and the way it can be imparted can be very fast now. So we don't need to wait for long. In 2 generations, there will be a lot of changes will be there. The world will be changing where these parents can never remain the way. That's what I'm trying to say to you. They will die off also. 2 generations will die. I'm waiting for them to die. Don't think that formed people will be changing. You can't change people who is formed. But if you are introducing new knowledge, new understanding in the schools, and actual education is being given also, which now through internet we can really get, even if the school is not developing, we can still get new knowledge through the internet. That's why I'm saying internet will bring in new knowledge to even into the homes, into the people's hand. Nobody can really now cover up, even if you are not sending people outside into the school or anything, knowledge will come pouring into through these phones. So, but the old concepts of sexuality is bad and we can't have it and we need all these clothes and all these kind of things in it. It's something we acquired through other reasons rather than civilization. It's for status. Actually, it's cloth and everything. You have to think about it. It's only status symbol. That's why it has been taxed once. If you want to wear some clothes, you have to pay tax to the king. So this is so it is a hierarchical system, and the values still we hold. Most of the things has nothing to do with life. So we are still carrying that bag of old ethics, carrying it on our head, and just like the turtle, we can't move forward because of the weight of all these old conditions and all these values we have. I am having hope in business, in trade, in education, in this concept of environment where we need the planet on the other side now. So there is no way humans can diverge and say that okay, we are going to be segregated and going to be. I know that armies will have to be abolished. There is no way out for them. So these are the direction it is going. Say, right now I am talking to you, you are from Bangalore. Before, you are Tipu Sultan subject. And I am fighting here in Kerala, fighting against you. You are the enemy there. Now we both sitting together and talking about the Pakistan as the enemy. That's the funny part of it. Even the Punjabis and the Pakistanis are brothers. They can talk their own language. I couldn't even talk their language. But still, I find brotherhood in being with the Karnataka fellow, a Punjabi fellow, a Bengali fellow, and feeling that I am an Indian. So if we can come together, the whole world can come together. There is no way out for human beings. It's a contingency. It's not that it's their choice. They can't choose to fight. They can't. Because for survival itself, we need to come together. If you portray anybody in a bad light, there will be a problem for them. Say, think about all the racists. If you are going to take a German movie about Hitler, how you are going to talk about the Nazis in a good way? Can you? I am saying even if you make any type of movies, if you are talking about the black movie in US, the whites will be feeling the same way. People will be talking like that. We have to make movies and we have to expose these things, and we have to show that there are areas which we have never been addressed, and we have to actually challenge all the customs and all these religious beliefs and everything. We have to challenge them. There is no way out. And don't think that I am ready to hurt the sentiments of everybody. That's how I do. I will say things. I am not going to be soft on any people. We need to do that. It's like operation. Even to save humanity, we can give them anesthesia, that's the only way. But we have to hurt them. Otherwise, we will always try to keep everything hidden, as if thinking that, we should not hurt the sentimentality and all those kind of nonsense. Then we will prolong the disease. So democracy has a decisive actions are there. We need to do that. We need to ask and make people really understand what being responsible as a citizen. The responsibility of a citizen has to have scientific temper and go against all kinds of nonsense beliefs. and it will hurt people. There is no doubt about it. And I don't mind about it. Only that we have to be careful not to get killed and don't kill others. That's only, but to that limit. But we have to still push on it. Kerala has got a special history other than the rest of the country. That's one thing is that there is a subaltern movement of spirituality. All the spiritual movements in rest of India were done by the higher caste. So even in Bengal, even in Maharashtra and most of the places, the fight against the British were done by the upper caste only. But in Kerala, the Srinarayana movement and also Ayyankali and all these people, they all came from the lower strata of the society. So that is very similar to the Renaissance movement, what happened in the Europe. That's one part of it. Next is, Kerala was never united as one state. And half of it was ruled by the British, and half of it was ruled by the kings. And language only united us. We were fighting each other, even though we are of the same. So there was three princely states were there, but one princely state was taken over by the British, and they gave the education which completely destroyed the caste system there. And only religion was there in the northern part of Kerala. And the southern part was completely under the control of the Hindu king. The only declared Hindu king in India was in Travancore. And they were using Manusmriti to rule the country also. So it was so starkly different in that way. And so there was this movement of independence came, but there the fight against the kings were also weaved into that independence movement in Kerala. So one part, they were fighting against the British in the northern side, but in the southern side, it was against the king. So there is a mixture of these two together there, along with it. So there is this Renaissance movement of Srinarayana and Ayyankali in the first part of it, where they were fighting against the caste system, and it's a subaltern movement that was not like in Bengal or anywhere when only the Vivekananda and all came from the upper caste. And Raja Ram Mohan Roy and all that are coming from the upper caste. But in Kerala, it was the opposite way. It was the subaltern movement that came into the forefront. So that one and the independence movement. And the third one was the rationalist movement. That also came along with this Renaissance movement. So these three were there, made a ground where Marxism came in. And they came into power. And they came into power through election, which was happening even in the 50s. So what happened was that the field was completely set for Marxists to intervene. And you have to remember that the Srinarayana movement has the idea of humanity. There is no nationalism there. Then the independence movement was not again nothing to do with Kerala. It's about India. So one is humanity, the other is India. Then the international movement of communism came, and it was an international movement, nothing to do with Kerala. So the Kerala identity never formed in the sense of any other states. So these are the concepts that as movements came together. And all these three movements, Srinarayana movement, communist movement, independence movement, along with rational movement, all these four movements came together in the span of 80 to 100 years. And it's kind of a mill we went through. And we were actually tribes. I mean, we are more primitive than most of the people even in Tamil Nadu but we were pushed through this mill, and that's why inside our homes we are still casteist. And the women and everybody is suffering, even though they have got most literacy, they are not educated. This is the space we have got. But this mill of four movements brought together at the same time transformed Kerala. So Marxism came in the last one, and so they captured on this base what other three movements were happening, and they have made the field conducive for it. Marxism, though it is like a religion, there's no doubt about it. It's a religion in that sense of that it brought everything into the world, not that it is trying to escape from the world. But it has got all the things of a religious thing. So, but it is a religion of the world, not that escaping the world. So Marxism is trying to make a heaven in the world. But they are not really understanding anthropology. They are not really understanding sociology. They are not really understanding about the tribes. They are not really understanding the neuroscience or biology. They are not really understanding evolution. All these are problems. It is there. It is an ideology. But it's not an ideology of all religion. It's an ideology that belongs to this world. So that is the difference also. I never say any message in that sense because I know life is something that moves out and just lives. And then, so, but I know that we had to learn evolution. It's a framework on which to understand life and have a scientific temper and go for it. We can really understand life through evolution. And once we understand it that way, coming together is much more, because we always know that we will feel the other. So it's not some mistake and some ideological problem and we were taught that way. No, we know that is the boundary. The feeling of boundary is very natural for a living being. So how to cooperate, and then we can come together and we know that I may have this feeling, but still I can cooperate with others. Just like a passengers in a bus. They are from different caste, different religion, but they are as passengers sitting together. It's the most modern place where we can come together with nothing changed. We are coming from different houses with a different ideology. But in a train or in a bus, we are coming together. We are coming together for our own need to travel. So need-based, once we understand it, need-based, the coming together is much more easy. And we don't need to change and become nice human beings to travel together. We can still remain the same thing, but still can be together as travelers. So once you understand it that way, that the bus and train can become the world itself. The earth itself. There is no way human beings are going to downhill. I know that there is a downhill in India, but the whole world is coming together. So we are, and there is no way BJP and the Hindu nationalist parties can have any say in that sense. They can only cling to power for some time and make it difficult for the movement forward. So don't lose heart. Just stick on. It's a bad time. That's all. But learn evolution. Use it as a framework to understand life. And learn the rest of the science so that we can enhance our world better. That's it.